Hello and welcome back to ADA Pulse, the community-funded news channel, keeping you up to date with all the news and emerging projects that are in and around the Cardano ecosystem. And remember, because we're community-funded, there is no coin shilling or paper motion, and we don't even discuss token price. We're just here to disseminate information and deliver to you in a way that's easy for you to understand. Now, as you can see, it's a very cold and foggy morning here in the UK, but that's okay, because today we've got a great article to warm us up. So we'll be talking about this. This is USDM, the tokenized dollar on Cardano. So we're discussing a particular stablecoin. And this is by one of our veteran writers, LiberLion, who's been with us for a long time. So as you know, you're going to expect a good deep dive here. But as we go on, let's remember to click the like button, hit subscribe, and hit that bell button so you can get notified as soon as we've got content available. And share far and wide. Remember, we want to educate as many people as possible and all that kind of stuff. Now, but enough of that. I'm Josh from ATM to Stake Pool, your presenter for ADA Pulse for today. Let's just crack straight on with the article. Now, obviously, money must have certain economic properties in order to have utility as an exchange of goods. And it must maintain its durability over time, be uniform, divisible, portable, and obviously with a limited supply. Now, those economic properties are like store value, unit of account, and medium of exchange, according to accepted economic theory. Now, in the crypto industry, we need to avoid volatility in order to develop foreseeable financial utility. So for this is where obviously we need stable coins and why they've been created, because they seek to maintain a stable value with a reference to something that's known in the traditional world. So there's essentially two types of stable coins: those backed with fiat currencies or with commodities such as gold and silver. And then there's the algorithmic ones, which seek parity through liquidity in their protocol. Now, if you want to understand more about stablecoins, Lion did a brilliant article on the subject. It was quite a while ago, and I'll put it in the description below. Now, also, the Cardano ecosystem is growing, and with it, there is a shitload of stablecoins. So if you remember quite recently, the Stove did an article on it, and I accompanied it with a video, to present a list of emerging native Cardano stablecoins. And some of them are already actually operational on the mainnet. So let's go through them now. Check these out. You have USDA by Emergo, and that's a fiat-backed KYC regulated token. Then you've got djed by Coty, which we did a video on this specifically, and LiberLion did an article as well. And as we said, that's ADA-backed, collateralized, and algorithmic, and it was made by IOG. Then there's SIG USD by Emergo and Ergo, so that's ERG-backed, collateralized, algorithmic, and bridged. Then there's USDM, what we want to talk about today, by Mehen, and that's fiat-backed, US state regulated, and there's a token issued for that. IUSD by Indigo, which is algorithmic. Shares Lake, so that's a fiat-backed KYC Cardano sidechain. And then there's EVM Bridge, or wrapped assets. That's like Milka Media, EVM, Algorand, and Solana stables, along with others. So as you can see, in Cardano, there is a variety of formats, all of those available in the crypto industry for all preferences. What is USDM? So Mehen, let's start with that, as a symbol of Egyptian mythology, is a protective deity depicted as a snake that coils around the sun god Ra during his journey at night. Now, it is the snake that appears in the Ouroboros symbol, and that's the name of the Cardano consensus protocol. And that represents, cyclical renewal. The Mehen Group team understood the need for Cardano DeFi ecosystem for a stablecoin that can be directly converted into a fiat currency. And thus, so they created USDM. That's a fiat-backed native Cardano stablecoin. Now, new users commonly join the Cardano network by going through centralized exchanges to convert their dollars into ADA, essentially. Now, Mehen seeks to be the first on-ramp for the Cardano ecosystem, so bringing additional liquidity directly to the blockchain. So the USDM token can be exchanged 1-for-1 for a US dollar. And for this reason, it promises to be a store of value in the Cardano blockchain with audited and authorized fiduciary support, since each dollar will be deposited in a US bank account under custody, separate from the Mehen fund. So thus, the Mehen reserve will be constituted. Now, Mehen is committed to frequently posting USDM token portfolio holdings, stress test results, license reviews, and audits. Now, backed stablecoins lose parity when the value of the asset backing the token is volatile or essentially unknown. So they've got to be transparent, audited, and obviously liquid. The team has designed the protocol so that there is no less USD in the Mehen reserve than USDM in circulation due to the nature of its structure. So USDM will sometimes be over-collateralized due to interest accumulation, although interest rates aren't actually that great, but there is still interest. And USDM tokens are an unsecured debt of Mehen Finance LLC, and US customers protection laws will govern the use of the Mehen reserve. Now, the Mehen reserve will not be used for other purposes, and this makes the seizure of Mehen reserve assets highly unlikely. As a precaution against banking problems, and this is on top of the federal deposit protections, Mehen will distribute their reserves to different banks in different legal jurisdictions. So that's both like in the United States and abroad. So furthermore, the team submitted 3 proposals in Catalyst Fund 9, not having received funding due to over budget in their fiat-backed stablecoin USDM, and not having reached enough positive votes in the USDM state regulatory fees and the onboarding assistance. LiberLion reached out to the founder, Matthew Plowman, if Mehen has signed or will sign, I guess, partnerships with Cardano dexes to be able to trade USDM on the secondary market, as this is important to be able to buy ADA, NFTs, or FTs on chain. And Mr. Plowman answered with this, so check it out. We have had fruitful conversations with nearly every DEX in the space. We don't have any side agreements with any, but don't expect much trouble on that front. I look forward to working with them to find ways to successfully work together to get this token listed, but we don't have any announcements to make at this time. The regulations. Now, Mehen Group understands that submitting to regulations seems very anti-crypto, but proposes to see Mehen as a bridge to essentially to like another system. It's like building bridges to Ergo, Ethereum, or Bitcoin, which improve usability and expand the possibilities of the ecosystem. So building a direct bridge to fiat money is, further interoperability with traditional finance to achieve what we all want, which is mass adoption. The operating license is an important part of this business too. So state regulators are demanding that they comply with their obligations to guarantee client holdings, since operating money services businesses improperly or without required license can face severe criminal and civil penalties as well. Mehen Finance LLC will be the issuer of the USDM token and will operate where legally licensed. Mehen is currently seeking license as a money transmitter in a variety of US states and territories, and is working to obtain licenses here in the UK and EU to expand operations in those jurisdictions as well. Now, depending on the jurisdiction of the user, USDM will be regulated as a stablecoin or a digital native stored value item, like an e-gift card, or an electronic money token, or even as a prepaid access token. Like any bank, brokerage, or exchange company, Mehen must verify identity of users who interact with the platform, and that's to ensure compliance with the OFAC and other regulatory requirements of the KYC, which is Know Your Customer, and AML, which is Anti-Money Laundering Policy. How USDM works. So USDM will be minted and redeemed by ordinary people and institutions, alike. But to do this, users need to have a bank account, send the dollar to Mehen's platform, and connect a Cardano wallet to mint the USDM. Yeah, and that's where they'll receive it. The same process is done in reverse if you want to basically do it the other way around. To ensure that the Mehen reserve has sufficient assets to support USDM, Each minting transaction will be done with a multi-signature, which includes open oracles to verify the sufficiency of the Mehen reserve. And user money will be deposited in a special Mehen account for token holders. This is actually how any company should handle client money. It should be done in a separate account and completely separate from your own funds. But that's just a standard thing anyway. So it's good that they're doing that. Users will need to provide an email address for application registration, which will be validated. Well, I don't know, I guess send a link or send a code, whatever, and type it in. And then, right, this is where it gets a bit complicated, so bear with me. And then a base 64 encoded UUID, client ID, and base 64 encoded UUID verification ID will be generated. Just so you know, UUID stands for Universally Unique Identifier. So yeah, the verification ID is essentially a link to the user's email address. The legal verification of identity will be carried out with third-party services to corroborate the authenticity of documents, and that cost will actually have to be covered by the user. But it's expected over time that cost will reduce, because if you think you scale by numbers, it will get cheaper the more users that are on board. But those payments will be made by credit card, bank transfer, but it will be required before you send the actual data. And the documentation provided by the users will be stored securely as well in an AES 256 encrypted database. So just so you know, that's pretty damn secure. And it will be retained only for the time required by regulations, after the date of account dissolution. Now, the Mehen app will actually be similar to a centralized exchange, and the on-chain part of the app will be a custodial wallet that will create an internal Mehen account for each user. And those accounts will include a blockchain wallet address in the Cardano network for the deposits of the USDM minted by the protocol. Now, in very much the same way as a centralized exchange, Mehen Finance reserves the right to reject any user transaction. But that will be down to, if the account's not up to date with legal compliance, or there is an order from the government authorities to suspend the account. So in many ways, it's very much acting more like a bank than a centralized exchange. But that's as far as I'm going to go with this article for today. If you want to find out more of the team, remember the full article can be found on the AdaPulse website, along with all the other articles we don't have a chance to make videos for. But enough of that. Click the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell button to get notified as soon as we've got content available. And remember to share far and wide. We want to reach as many people as possible. But that's enough from me. I'm Josh from ATM Stakepool, your presenter for AdaPulse for today. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.